Hi, Gareth here at SIOAAA, and we're talking today about actually implementing artificial intelligence. Something a bit different today. My previous videos have been me sharing my experiences to hopefully allow you to overcome some of the challenges I have and have had. But today's video is more of an opinion piece. Now, let me start by saying I am no expert in AI, nor do I have a particularly vast experience of implementing or running services that contain significant AI elements. So you might ask, well, what am I doing here then? Well, it doesn't take too long to scroll through your LinkedIn feed to see a post about AI. It's clearly one of the choice topics where a lot of CIOs and IT leaders are investing a significant amount of their time and money. Or are they? Now, a few years back, big data had the same sort of buzz within the industry. And a leader that I worked for at the time, I remember him saying, big data is like when kids are in the playground at senior school talking about having sex. Now, everybody's claiming that they're doing it, when in reality, very few are, or those that are probably not doing it very well. And well, maybe the same is true of AI, I don't know. Now, I'm happy to be proven wrong. And if I had thousands of subscribers, no doubt I'd have loads of people commenting, no, you're wrong, stop talking shit. Which I'm completely open to. As I said at the outset, I'm not claiming to be an expert. My point today is to talk from the position that maybe you're in too, hearing lots about AI, unsure what it all means, questioning where can AI bring benefits to my services, where does it not, and what sort of things are important for companies that are preparing to lose their AI virginity. Well, besides, it's my channel anyway, so I can talk about what I want. As I've talked about recently, companies buy services because they can't or do not want to do those things themselves. If we apply this thinking to AI, then of course there is most definitely a space for AI to do those things we cannot or do not want a person to do. Now that's nothing new. We use technology and tools already to run our services day to day for ourselves and our customers. And there are tangible benefits that we realise on a day-to-day basis that allow us to run our services cheaper, faster, better. Imagine what our services would look like if we didn't. For example, in the event management space, the volume of data monitoring tools capture is typically immense. Relying on a human to interpret all of that data, well, that in itself is most likely to be impossible. But to catch those events, then to ensure the right thing happens every time is open to all sorts of risk of human error. And compare that to AI solutions on the market now, whereby events are captured, correlated, addressed, directed into other operational processes where appropriate, and then utilised. Well, it's hard to imagine that a human or many humans could get anywhere near the performance of those solutions. And if the output of those solutions allow you to deliver your IT services more consistently, more reliably to your stakeholders, well, then the benefits are obvious. Another example in terms of direct customer benefit, which if you've ever been close to a first line service, you'll be familiar, and that's password resets. Now, let's be honest, every IT department or provider has had challenges with users being absent-minded or coming back from 2 weeks on the beach, not being able to access their services, and then placing calls to the IT service desk. Now, okay, resetting a password is a pretty simple 2-minute job, but Gartner estimates the volume of password resets makes up anywhere between 20 and 50% of all tickets. Now, I know this isn't revolutionary by claiming businesses should look at implementing self-service password reset tools. I worked in an organisation that did that probably 6 or 7 years ago. The benefits, of course, are obvious, both to the IT department in not having to handle that insane amount of tickets, but more importantly to the end users. In this specific scenario, IT don't want users calling them up with this sort of trivial stuff. Their techies want to be focusing on the really interesting IT stuff. And end users don't want to be sat on a phone, even if it's just for a couple of minutes, for something so trivial. So where AI can deliver solutions to allow both parties to meet their aspirations, then definitely something to explore and make use of. The password reset example also highlights, I think, another key point. Now, given the amount of online accounts and therefore passwords I have, I'm always forgetting which password is for which site. That said, how many calls have I placed to the Facebook service desk, Amazon service desk, Little Mix fan club service desk? Precisely none. And why is that? Because I can reset my password myself on those websites. Well, I'm not sure about the last one. And this is commonplace, right? My expectation as a user is that I can self-serve. Unless it's essential that I need to talk to a human and there's an option that's quicker, easier where I don't, then that option is going to be the preferred one. This is very much the way the world has moved in the last 20 years. So from a user community point of view, this method of service delivery is somewhat expected, and of course the age of the user can be a driving factor in that. And of course the AI elements or self-service elements can be a service differentiator. Am I going to use the pizza delivery service that I can completely do online in 2 minutes, or the one where I have to call up, sit in a queue, clarifying what it is I'm ordering? Well, obvious, right? And again, said before, IT services are no different. So having AI capabilities as part of your arsenal that allow you to deliver these needs, where perhaps 10 years ago they were nice to haves, well, perhaps now they're becoming, if they're not already, essential in winning and keeping your customers. That said, automation for automation's sake can be damaging to your end users and therefore your service. Now, I've recently had a very painful experience when trying to deal with a shipping company. Given the nature of my query, it's one of those matters whereby I just needed to talk to somebody. Their website, whilst it contains loads of tools, features that probably 9 times out of 10 would result in me not having to place a call, on this occasion getting through to a person to assist me has proven at times literally impossible, to the point where I'm no longer going to use their services. Now, in the grand scheme of things, their business case of using automation, self-service, call it what you will, probably still stacks up. What they've invested in tooling to save on manual effort is probably paying off for the majority of their customers, and losing my business is not worth crying about. But I dare say I'm not the only one of their customers that has had this experience, and a quick look on Trustpilot confirms that for me. What they may have achieved short to medium term in regards using technology to do the job of humans, it could be argued that it's gone too far and is now in the dangerous territory of damaging their reputation with what was once a loyal customer base. I guess the moral to this story is that any innovation in the AI space needs to be focused on the delivery of service to your customers, and first and foremost that it meets their needs rather than solely benefiting your internal operation. Then, of course, there is a very moral point to consider. Now, some insanely clever dude observed a number of years ago that software is eating the world. And what he meant by that is, and I will quote, "Today, the world's largest bookseller, Amazon, is a software company. Its core capability is its amazing software engine for selling virtually everything online. No retail stores necessary. On top of that, while Borders was thrashing in the throes of impending bankruptcy, Amazon rearranged its website to promote its Kindle books over physical books for the first time. Now even the books are software themselves." And therein lies the societal problem. Where once the high streets of the nations were full of busy shoppers, they were too full of busy employees and people like you and me going about their day-to-day business. Where software solutions like Amazon have taken off, well, that's had a detrimental impact, not only to our high streets, but to those people whose livelihoods were dependent on those high street stores. With no shops to work in, well, what do they do now? And now, some years later, the view is that AI is eating software, and the same thing is happening to those people's jobs that AI is now teed up to replace. So just because we can deliver a service via AI, does that mean that we should? For many of the careers that the introduction of AI threatens, these are sometimes entry-level roles where a lot of senior IT figures have started out on their IT journey. One of my first roles was in a call centre where I can confidently say I learned so much, right? So much that has shaped my approach to work, gave me skills and learnings that, well, I still use today and every day. If, for example, the service desks of tomorrow are all delivered by bots, what does that mean for those people doing those crucial roles? Where is the springboard into fulfilling IT careers? If people don't start there, well, where can they start? Will that be in IT at all? And what does that mean for our sector longer term? Yes, AI can do the job for us, but as a society, should we let it? Is that ethically and morally the right path for us? Now, in the roles I've done recently, of course, I've been invited to many seminars and sales pitches about the benefits of AI. And yes, of course, it is a priority for me to see where ultimately this can benefit our users, our customers, and our services. One message that seems to be prevalent in those sorts of sessions, that the prerequisite to success is that organisations looking to harness the power of AI need to have good data, good control of that data, and good process. Without those, the journey to AI is much harder, it can take much more work, and will naturally therefore result in higher cost and more effort to implement. That said, if we don't have those things anyway, how efficient or effective would our services be? Anyway, if we had a good process and good data, as good as they could be without AI, would that actually devalue the case for AI, given that good process and data should naturally make your services cheaper, faster, better? Ultimately, it's about fulfilling a service to meet customers' needs. And sometimes AI will be the answer, and other times, well, perhaps it won't be. But that's just my opinion. So now you've listened to my somewhat uneducated ramblings, let me know, am I wrong? Is AI the path to a glorious sunny future? Well, or one where we all end up in the matrix? Thanks for stopping by. I've been Gareth at SIOAAA, and see you next time.